Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. The federal government has made a commitment to prevent and reduce veteran homelessness across the country. The Minister of Veterans Affairs, Jill McKnight, was at the Royal Canadian Legion in Regina yesterday to announce the plan, partnering with 10 organizations across Canada, putting up over $22.5 million. The funding comes through the Veteran Homelessness Program, which supports 34 projects across Canada.
We know that there are some who face unique challenges. Service-related disabilities, and mental health conditions such as post-traumatic stress disorder, and the effects of traumatic brain injury, which can make it harder to find and maintain stable housing and employment. That's why community-led, tailored solutions like this are so important.
As of October, the federal government estimates there are around 1,800 veterans experiencing homelessness across Canada. Events took place into the evening in Prince Albert in honor of Remembrance Day yesterday. Organizers say hundreds of people joined throughout the day's events, honoring the sacrifices made by Canadians during wartime, starting with a breakfast at the Royal Canadian Legion Branch No. 2. The program then moved to a morning ceremony at the Armory, followed by the laying of the wreaths at the Court of King's Bench Cenotaph and the Memorial Square Cenotaph, and the lunch at the Legion Branch.
I think everybody, and especially in Saskatchewan, everybody's got family and friends that have been affected by war, and everybody, like I have my grandparents that were in World War II, and it means a lot to kind of give back.
The day ended with a dinner at the local Anavets Unit 222. Saskatchewan's largest Remembrance Day ceremony was held at SaskTel Centre yesterday. Hallie Mandrick has the details.
Nearly 5,000 people filled the seats of SaskTel Centre on the morning of November 11th to acknowledge the service of brave Canadians.
All my life as I was growing up, Remembrance Day was about 11 o'clock. Then I became a chaplain for the military, and I realized it's way, way bigger than that.
Ivan Nahachowski says Remembrance Day comes with a lot of emotions, which extend far beyond this particular service.
Those who are wounded and can't be here for whatever reasons, they can't be in public. The ones who are mourning their loved ones who have died, that's real. There are people this isn't just like a civic holiday, a national event. This is very personal.
The Nahachowski family is one of many that has several ties to the Canadian Armed Forces. Ivan's wife, Deborah Nahachowski, works with young cadet members, and she emphasized the importance of teaching the next generation about the significance of Remembrance Day.
The reason we have our freedom and we have democracy and all of that is because of these people who went before us. And by being in the cadet program, we do talk about that, and they do get some of that knowledge.
Both Ivan and Deborah Nahachowski shared that the sight of a large audience on Tuesday was very meaningful.
There's a lot of other things people could be doing today, and they're realizing that they have a day off, the significance of it. They show it by showing up here, that they realize what the purpose of Remembrance Day is.
Adding hope that those in attendance acknowledge the greater meaning of Remembrance Day.
I hope they feel grateful that Canada is a free country and that we can be who we are, that we're not being bombed or shot at. I hope the major feeling is gratitude.
Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
So, Jeff, we're on to the sort of second half of a truncated week. What do we have in terms of weather today and tomorrow?
Well, things are actually staying above seasonal. We've been talking about that for a while now. A bit of a downward trend temperature-wise, and we might start to see some snow in the forecast, but all in all, things are looking fairly quiet. There's a large push of warm Pacific air that's making its way up through the California and Pacific Northwest and parts of BC, making its way into the prairies. Some parts of southern Saskatchewan are going to be very warm as we roll into tomorrow. We'll have talk about that a little later on.
Saskatchewan's police watchdog is investigating after a 35-year-old man died in the Saskatoon Police Service detention unit yesterday morning. Police say the man went into medical distress around 9:30, shortly after he was arrested following an assault on a 5-year-old girl and a 40-year-old woman in the 300 block of Avenue Q South. The serious incident response team has been notified and is now leading the investigation into the man's death. Police say CERT will release more information as the investigation continues. Work is ongoing to bring back regular flights between the Saskatoon and Regina airports. Saskatchewan businesses say they're ready for a takeoff. A joint survey from the Regina and Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce show a strong desire to link the two cities, with 94% of respondents saying they would use the service. Nearly 70% said they would use the service 1 or 2 times a month, with $500 listed as the preferred fare amount. And the chambers feel the survey presents a solid business case for an airline operator.
When there is good demand and consistent demand, that business case starts to shift. You can de-risk it if you're an operator because you know that there's a ready and willing set of people who are going to take you up on the service and are going to use it religiously.
If you want to book a flight from Saskatoon to Regina right now, it would involve a layover in either Edmonton, Calgary, or Winnipeg. Ahead of their appearance in the Vanier Cup this weekend, the Saskatchewan Huskies are sending love to a teammate who recently received a cancer diagnosis. In a release from the university, it was shared that the football team's quarterback, Anton Amundrud, has been diagnosed with lymphoma. The quarterback has impressive stats. In the 5 regular season games he played, Amundrud still leads the league in passing yards. His career record of pass completions also puts him 3rd in the history of the Huskies organization. Amundrud missed the team's recent appearance in the Hardy Cup, where they beat the Regina Rams 25-24. About 1,000 graduates from the University of Saskatchewan just completed fall convocation, with students from numerous colleges walking across the stage to get their degree today. Colleges like nursing, agriculture, dentistry, and engineering handed out diplomas today at Merlis Belcher Place. One student from the College of Education, 87-year-old Louise Fraser, got her degree in Cree language with distinction. Family, friends, and others from her program cheered loudly when her name was called. Fraser hopes to continue speaking her language and pass that knowledge on to today's students. She plans on getting into the classroom as soon as possible once her certification arrives.
My goal is to pass the language on and keep speaking and passing it on. And I lost my language when I was in residential school. We were forbidden to speak your language. And I want that back for myself.
Fraser has diplomas and certifications in addition to a master's degree in social work. After the break, the city's first blanket of snow means winter safety tips. Jasmine catches up with Lyle from Parkland Ambulance.
Well, it's that time of year again. We got a bunch of snow on the ground, and what that means for safety is we got to be a little more cautious when it's slippery out. Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely, Jasmine. Thanks for joining us today. You are absolutely correct. It is that time of year when the snow has fallen. It was a little bit warm when it first started, so there's a considerable amount of ice out there. So anybody who's out trying to walk and or drive has probably encountered a little bit of those conditions. And so we will want to remind folks that first, if you're walking, we always say walk like a penguin, and people kind of look at me and they go, what? Well, if you ever watched a penguin walk, they kind of walk sort of and they waddle. They kind of tip back and forth. And instead of you having a big stride on ice, we ask you to just kind of take little steps. You're less likely to slip and fall. That's the first thing we want to remind folks. And again, the old adage that we always teach younger kids, like crossing at the corner, looking both ways, are even more important in the wintertime because you don't have that little extra, maybe 5-second start on a car. If the roadway's icy and you're out there, it's quite likely you could be struck by a vehicle, and let's not have that happen. And so we want to remind folks to do that. Of course, the usual that goes with wintertime is dressing for the affair, toques, mittens, gloves, all those wonderful things that go with trying to stay warm as well. On the vehicle side of it, lots to remind our motoring public about. One, give yourself that extra time. Okay, so if it takes you 10 minutes to get to work, now maybe it's going to take 15. If you're running a little bit late, rather than speed up, just take your time. Many of our intersections, as our municipal and certainly our highway crews do their very best to maintain, roadways can become slippery just simply. They may not have been in the morning, but over time they will. And weather conditions, especially on the highway, can change dramatically from where you are to, 10 kilometers down the road. So just be prepared for those changing conditions. Slow down. Dig out your snow brush. Dig out your small collapsible shovel. Start to throw a few extra blankets in the car, and just be mindful that, everything's good, I'm a good driver, and all those things that we like to take for granted. Let's just be mindful that your car could stop. You could, through no fault of your own, be involved in a collision or hit the ditch, and then what?
I was wondering, for winter driving, is there anything that you should be taking with you that you don't have to worry about in summer driving, just to make sure you're safe in case something goes wrong on the road?
So we want to remind folks, often we just get in our car really quickly because we're just going to go, even in the city, run a few errands, but more likely visiting family or friends, or we're just going to go, we're wearing a light coat or our winter coat and maybe our regular shoes. Think about packing along a few extra things. So if you have a Rubbermaid tub, an old backpack, some sort of container that you can safely store in the back of your car, where when you're not need it, you just take it out, and maybe if you have a garage, you put it on the shelf, bring it out in the wintertime, or at home, you just tuck it somewhere where you can find it next season. But think of adding a few extra blankets, some high energy snacks, maybe it's nuts or granola bars, maybe it's a few bottles of water. Think about a collapsible shovel, something that's small and compact. You can buy those relatively easy. A bag of kitty litter. Oddly enough, people say kitty litter. A kitty litter is a fantastic thing to keep traction. If you are stuck, slippery, maybe that will help. And those extra things, and of course, remember always to try your best to have a fully charged cell phone. So if you have coverage, you can get help. So if you do end up with a breakdown or end up hitting the ditch for whatever those reasons are, first thing is, let's just make sure we're all okay. If you are calling for help, stay with your vehicle. I cannot emphasize that enough. People often say if they're on a rural grid road or even on a regular road, I saw a farmhouse just across. Well, you don't know what the terrain is like. It could be full of holes. There could be a not frozen slough underneath, whatever. If you step and hurt yourself, now what? We don't even know where to look for you. So stay with your vehicle, signal for help, and stay where you are. Those are probably the most important tips as we head into the winter season. And we want to remind folks, just take those extra precautions now for a trouble-free time. If you haven't already done so, of course, the winter tires is a good thing, but maybe you want to have your vehicle checked by one of the local automotive dealers as well, just to make sure everything's all okay for winter season.
Well, thanks for all those reminders on how to stay safe this winter season.
Thanks, Jasmine.
Still to come, Jeff looks at the midweek weather, and later, flu cases on the rise could be a sign of things to come this winter. Jeff, we probably don't say it enough, but probably a good day to be in our province, what with all the goings-on sort of cosmically and so on.
Absolutely. We had the geomagnetic storm, so the Aurora Borealis, the northern lights, were really, really active last night. And supposedly we could see the aurora as far south as Florida and Oklahoma and Alabama. So this has been a very significant storm. And the good news is it looks like skies will be clear over much of Saskatchewan. So if you get a chance, get away from the urban lights and watch some northern lights, because they are something spectacular. So nothing really spectacular, fairly quiet conditions across the prairies, although rain, big time rain is coming to British Columbia, North Coast, Vancouver Island, and parts of the lower mainland. It's really going to impact parts of California. It could be real problems for California because of the burn scars. So you've got these areas that had the fires went through and it burns off all the vegetation. So the possibility possibility of muddy landslides and mudslides, things like that, is certainly possible. So we'll keep our eye on our California neighbors. Let's take a look at our futurecast. As you can see, a lot of moisture moving through British Columbia, some in the form of rain, some in snow, and that snow, in some respects, crosses the Rockies and into parts of Alberta. It looks like most of the snow will be in northern Alberta and eventually northern Saskatchewan and Manitoba. It looks like it's arcing across Saskatchewan. We've got ourselves relatively clear skies right across the board. If it's not clear, it's clearing. -6 degrees for Spiritwood, -4 for the Battlefords overnight, -8 in Candle Lake, -7 in Birch Hills, the same for Rostern, -7 also for Nipawin, -6 the overnight number in Melfort. On to tomorrow with plus temperatures abounding, 3 degrees in Spiritwood, 7 in the Battlefords, under cloudy skies in Candle Lake, just mainly cloudy in the Spiritwood and the Battlefords area, but cloudy skies in Candle Lake, 3 degrees, cloudy and 4 in both Birch Hills and Rostern and in Nipawin for that matter, and a bit of sunshine breaking through the cloud deck in Melfort, but it doesn't really bump up the temperatures all that much. Still warm by November standards, mid-November standards, 4 degrees for a high. Now on to Prince Albert. We're dealing with clear skies tonight, winds out of the west 10 and then backing off, and then we've got ourselves tomorrow's high will be 3 degrees with cloudy conditions, winds out of the southeast at 20, so a bit of a southerly breeze, but that's usually a warmer breeze than if it was coming out of the north. And as you can see, 3 degrees tomorrow, as we already mentioned. Friday, 2 with cloudy skies, mainly sunny on Saturday, but a bit on the crisp side, -2 degrees. The same for Sunday with a bit more sunshine, a bit more cloud, but you'll be inside watching the Grey Cup. And then Monday to start the work week, an even chance of some flurries, -1 degree, and then Tuesday and Wednesday -2. But these temperatures, even at -1 and -2, pretty close to seasonal. So all in all, a fairly, let's call it fair weather forecast.
There you go. And we'll talk about where you should go a little bit later on tonight to try and see those lights. But someone else who's kind of lighting it up on their own is the Prince Albert Raiders. They continue their U.S. Division road swing. Last night, it was a stop in Everett to face the Silvertips.
Multi-year captain of the Raiders works it up the left side for Meunier. Pass down low and a shot. They score!
Evan Smith had 2 goals. Braden Dubé had an assist and the game-winning goal as the Raiders handled the Silvertips 4-1. Braden Dubé had an assist and the game-winning goal. Of course, WHL goalie of the week last week, Michael Orsulak, made 31 saves for his 7th win of the season. The Raiders are in Portland tonight taking on the Winterhawks.
Three Canadians are battling for the starting assignment at the safety position. Incumbent Glenn Suter, who is entering his 4th year with the club.
Glenn Suter is a Rider legend, and we found rare footage of a young Glenn Suter sporting the mustache way back in 1987 at Rider training camp. Here's some sights and sounds of the former Rider. Enjoy.
Stay down. That's it. Good pass.
We all have to improve as a team, and I think with this coaching staff we have here this year, I mean, every day I've come out so far, I've learned something more. And, I feel like I'm improving every day, and I think everyone has the same feeling. This year, all around, the teaching is just great, and that's how you improve. You work on the little things, the fundamentals, and they teach you all your little footwork mistakes and things like that. That's how you get better.
Sights and sounds of Glenn Suter at Rider training camp in 1987. And if you want to check out more classic sports moments from the days of Wilco and Wood Finish televisions, you can check them out on our website.
Flu season is here, and with cases already climbing, experts are warning Canada could be in for a tough few months. Scott Hurst has more.
It is that time of year. You're likely already hearing a lot more coughing and wheezing, and there's increased concern heading into this flu season. Here's why. You have a potentially severe strain and concerns about fewer people getting the vaccine protection. It could all be a recipe for a difficult few months ahead. Another challenge, the vaccine developed for the upcoming flu season may not be an ideal match for the H3N2 strain of influenza that's circulating in the country, according to experts, as the virus does mutate. But those in the medical health community say some protection is still better than none.
There'll be some degree of protection. And the degree of protection against the most serious outcomes is always the best. So with mismatch, you might still get sick, but you might be protected from, for example, hospitalization or pneumonia, or the more severe consequences of infection.
While cases remain relatively low at the moment, being so early in the season, they are starting to trend upwards, with the latest national numbers showing more than 430 confirmed cases of influenza in the past week, just about 2% of tests being positive.
The specific strain we're worried about this year is called H3N2. It tends to have more severe seasons. And so that's the worry, that the Australian data plus the strain that's circulating suggests that Canada could have a very tough season.
You heard the doctor mention Australia, that country posting record-breaking flu numbers, with the Royal Australian College of GPs saying this should be a wake-up call as vaccination rates there stall. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Brought to you by Saskatchewan Union of Nurses. Thank you to Saskatchewan's 11,000 registered nurses.
Okay, Jeff, we kind of teased it there earlier in the show, and if you were looking up to the sky last night, chances are you got a glimpse of those northern lights. It was a powerful geomagnetic storm creating a stunning light show across most of North America, and you mentioned it even stretched down to Kansas, Wisconsin, Colorado, and even as far south as Florida. The storm is created by coronal mass ejections from the sun's surface, sending charged particles that blast toward Earth at thousands of kilometers per second, and if you missed them last night, Jeff mentioned you're going to probably see them again tonight, and we got no clouds from the looks of it, Jeff.
Things are looking perfect in order for people to just, like I say, get away from the urban light, and you should get a wonderful sight tonight. That was absolutely stunning last night. So get out there and enjoy what the firmament has to offer.
There you go. Go north of the Northern Lights Casino, just over the bridge. You'll catch it.